This is a message from New Zealand.
New Zealand's best kept secret.
You're not sharing my secret.
The hidden gems, if you take the time to go out and find them.
Past Glenorchy for 20 minutes, and then there's a little farm out there.
New Zealand's best secret will have to be our ocean, our moana.
Cathedral Cove, Manawatu, where I grew up. It's very underrated.
I was going to say pineapple lumps, but that's kind of out there.
Scallop's got to be right up there.
Bluff oysters.
Haven't had those for a while.
My nana's pavlova roll, but please don't tell anybody.
Shh, Alfreda.
Good food, good vibrations.
People are super friendly here.
New Zealanders seem like peaceful, but actually they are really excitement and full of passion.
You step off the plane and you step into Middle Earth.
We're living in paradise here.
You'll love it here. You'll definitely love it. Kia ora.
Oh, welcome. That was a great opener. Bluff oysters and pineapple lumps can only be one place. It is our neighbours in New Zealand. And I am so thrilled to be able to have Andrew, who is the General Manager for Tourism New Zealand in Australia here, join us live to talk everything, including some hidden gems about New Zealand. Welcome, Andrew.
Kia ora, how are you?
Yeah, just so well. And even seeing that video in the opening presentation then and really transporting us to New Zealand, we remember very, very fondly the incredible countryside, the beautiful people, and how much there is to see and explore in New Zealand. And certainly I feel confident, and I'm sure you do too, that New Zealand will be one of our first partner countries to open up and to start travelling to in the very near future, fingers crossed. But let's talk about going to New Zealand. Let's get stuck into it. Oh.
Yeah, it's a fantastic video to open, and definitely as a proud Kiwi, makes me wish and long to go very soon. And I think it sort of represents a couple of things. It's when you go on holiday, it's so much more than just what you see. It's what you experience. It's the people and place. And even though we can't travel at the moment, it's not a matter of if, but when we will be able to travel. And there's a huge level of desire to get over to New Zealand in the future. And what you see in that video, I think, is a message from New Zealand to those overseas, and in this case, to Australians, saying, you know, we'll look forward to welcoming you and welcoming you very soon. A couple of great secrets, best kept secrets, hidden gems in there, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you and your audience today about a couple of them from my own perspective.
Oh, I love that. I do. I mean, sometimes we can read, you know, about different destinations and we can see video, which is incredible. But hearing personal stories, I think, is even better. So I'm really pleased that you said that. But I think that as we were discussing, you know, before we came onto the live here today, it really is important to acknowledge the circumstances that we find that we are in at the moment. And certainly, as we were discussing for both Melbourne and Auckland currently with their snap lockdowns. And I think you had a few words that you wanted to say about that.
Yeah, it is very hard, and very hard on the travel industry, and particularly those looking to plan in the future. I think what we see between New Zealand and Australia is we're actually closer than we've ever been before. There's a Maori saying, "He waka eke noa," which is we're all in this together. And, you know, thoughts out to Auckland and Melbourne. You know, they'll come out of it very soon, and it's a matter of, you know, sort of thinking about positively into the future what it's going to look like, and planning that holiday. We know, and we all know we need that holiday more than ever at the moment. So it's going to be great to be able to open borders in the future, get some travel going and under safe circumstances, and when conditions under COVID allow.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, I was having many conversations this morning with some of our customers. Hello to you out there. If you were speaking to me on the phones, it's always a true delight. I love it. And one of the biggest threads of conversation was, I don't want to miss out. We know, and especially Australians who have a huge passion for traveling this beautiful world, we are itching to get back out there. And I'm sure it can be said to be the same in New Zealand as well. And you know, it's going to be really busy. When borders open, it's going to be very busy. So I think that forward planning is not just something that's exciting to look forward to, but it's really practical at this stage if you intend, in fact, to travel late 2021 and certainly into 2022.
Yeah, and absolutely. We know there's a huge level of pent-up demand for when borders open. Now's a good time to be doing the planning and talking to experts in the field about what options there are. And, you know, it's an exciting time to sort of dream, and in future you'll be able to convert that into, you know, a much needed trip. So, you know, part of the discussion today will be to explore that.
Yeah, I appreciate that greatly. And certainly if you are viewing today and you do have any questions for Andrew, now is the time, because we are live. And I don't know if he's going to like it or not, but I will.
No, send them through. Send them through.
That's perfect. So let's get started, because I'm just going to go to my notes here. And the reason I want to do that is we've had a few destinations that customers on the phone and certainly through our chat system on our website have been asking us about. And I'm really hoping that we can focus on those a little bit to start off with today, Andrew.
Certainly.
And thank you. And the first destination that was of keen interest was the stunning Milford Sound. I think we'd like to hear a little bit more about that.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, Milford Sound is a real gem. I might say that word a few times during the course of our discussion today. So Milford Sound is in the bottom of this South Island, access points out of, or from a gateway perspective, out of Queenstown predominantly, but also if you're flying domestic, you can go into Invercargill and into Dunedin. And what's great about Milford Sound is the drive in through amazing farmland and then into the ruggedness of the bottom of the Southern Alps. Beautiful sort of fjord that opens out, and there's a number of ways you can do it. So there's boat, there's plane, there's helicopter, etc. And it is absolutely phenomenal. So it's an area that is hurting at the moment from a travel and tourism perspective. Probably over 80% of their visitors are international visitors. So they are looking forward to welcoming back, you know, the Australians there. And it is definitely a must do or from the bucket list perspective to get over there and experience it.
Oh, that's perfect. I saw some images recently from a colleague of mine who was in New Zealand a little while ago now, of course, but I saw some images of Milford Sound, and gee, it's stunning to see the cliff faces, and they probably have a better name than that, which I don't know. But, you know, just the water, it's just incredible.
Yeah, so it's sort of there's Mitre Peak, which rises effectively 1 kilometre straight up from, you know, the sea straight to straight up. So it's, you know, it's a significant rise, and then obviously coming from the Southern Alps, there's a lot of natural waterfalls that just come straight out off the cliff faces effectively into the water. So the boats and the scenic tours can get right up close. In there, you can actually stay overnight as well. So you imagine what it's like at night when the light drops away, and you know you have that feeling of in the middle of nowhere in that faraway space, which is fantastic.
That's it, isn't it? That's what we need sometimes. A couple of the other destinations that I think probably tie in quite nicely together that our customers were asking about was Franz Joseph and Fox Glacier. We'd love to know your experiences and thoughts on those two areas.
Yeah, certainly. So Franz Joseph and Fox Glacier are on the bottom of the west coast of the South Island. So road trips are a big part of travelling in New Zealand, tours and so forth, and they are one of the significant spots. What's great about Franz Joseph and Fox Glacier is they're accessible. The base of the glacier is accessible by foot, but there's a lot of quoll-marked operators where you can have glacier guided walks onto the glacier, but also heli guides and also heli climbs as well. So a great way of seeing, you know, this natural phenomenon, which is fantastic, and a little known, I guess you could say, but not often frequented walk right at the start, just near the in Franz Joseph town, is called Lake Matheson. If you get up there really early, you can walk to watch the sun rise over the Southern Alps. Lake Matheson, which is like a mill pond, has effectively a mirrored image of the mountains into the sky, but then also mirrored on the lake, and it's it's absolute. So for budding photographers, it's definitely a must do.
That sounds perfect on a really still, peaceful day. You wouldn't know where it stops and where the next starts. It's just amazing.
Absolutely. And it was the heli trip was the first when I took my wife for the first time, who's from the UK, to New Zealand. It was something we did, helicopter ride up to to Franz, which was pretty special.
That's so cool. It's funny from an Australian perspective to think about these glaciers and visiting these great mountains, snow-capped mountains. We do have our own, of course, ranges here and snow-capped mountains, but it just feels so different. And it is so different to think that you can go and visit a glacier, which is not possible here. So that's incredible. But I've just had a couple of questions pop up, Andrew. And Paul writes, can you settle a bet, Andrew? Queenstown, he wants to know, is Queenstown better in winter or in summer? And that's a great question.
I'm going to sound like a politician now and say you can do both. So that's you can spread your bets and do both. It really depends on what your interests are. And this is the thing about New Zealand. There's a huge array of experiences and things you can do. And obviously 4 seasons. So very different to a travel in Australia. What I would say is if summer is particularly great for walking, mountain biking, time on the lake, and a lot of the experiences in there. Really long evenings, which is fantastic. Time on lake to stay on and get down to Milford Sound is absolutely fantastic. If winter is something, it's an alpine village. You can go skiing during the day and then have beautiful dinner in Queenstown and so forth. So they both play and make a fantastic holiday, but it does depend on who you're traveling with and what sort of experience you want.
What you want, definitely. So there you go. Bet not settled, and Paul. I'm sorry, bet not settled.
Well, let's go both, and we'll see you down there.
Let's do both. While we're on the subject of Queenstown, and I am going to go back again to our questions in a moment, but while we're on the subject of Queenstown, I often hear that Ferg Burger is the place you must dine. What do you think about that? And do you have any other hidden restaurant secrets that we don't know about?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's Ferg Burger would have to be one of the most famous burgers around the world. So they seem to sell burgers morning, noon, and night, which is fantastic. I think, look, it's a little window into the food and beverage offering in New Zealand. It's an unpolished diamond, I would say, in the sense of there's so much there, and it's about uncovering it. So it doesn't it doesn't share as much as what it's got. And Queenstown's a really good example of a huge array of restaurants down there. Botswana Butchery is one from a perspective which is set in a villa, plus a number of other restaurants around the place. And then there's as well. There's the vineyards as well that are based in that region as well. So they've all got fantastic restaurants attached to them. So you can have a short lunch or a long lunch, depending on what you're after.
I can absolutely vouch for that as well. Those vineyards in the area are stunning. And I even recall going to Arrowtown and calling in there. It was a great cafe and the most eclectic decor. It was just fantastic. I was freezing at the time. It was the middle of winter, but walked in there. It was warm and it was so welcoming. I absolutely loved it.
And, you'll be next to the farmer that's picking up his, coffee and his groceries through to, visitors from other parts of New Zealand. So, you really get a medley of people that are enjoying the place as well. So you get a really true and authentic story, experience of life in New Zealand.
Definitely. Back to our customers' questions. And there was one last point that I really wanted to ask you because I think this is quite fascinating. When people come to New Zealand, of course, there's so much to see and do, but there's also so much culture that they really love to understand and experience. And certainly in the Maori culture, which I know I didn't say that correctly. I do apologize. I'm not very good at the rolling of the R's. I will get better. But
good. You did well. You did well. And it's one of those, it's giving it a go, and it's a very safe place to explore that culture. So, it's not about please don't apologise for pronunciation. It's more in the sense of learning and understanding. So I'm still learning how to pronounce a lot of the words as well. So
I think that's awesome. Where would you say would be some really great locations and experiences for those who really do want to understand a little bit more about the culture?
Yeah, certainly. So there's a couple of sort of specific locations. But first, before we get into that, what I would say is that it is Maori culture is part of and integrated into New Zealand society as one. So it's not an either or, and you can get deeper levels of experience. But what I would say is you will see and feel it in all your travels when you go to New Zealand. So Ngā Tahu Tourism is the local iwi of the South Island, and they run a lot of their experiences are everyday experiences as through to cultural experiences as well. So it's integrated in different and interesting ways. To get a deeper level of experience, Rotorua and the Northland are fantastic places to go. So Rotorua, beautiful city, steaming mud pools and so forth, but a lot of cultural experiences there. So you'll get the full Pōwhiri, which is a welcome. There's hakas, there's ways of bringing to life song, and you'll get a sort of a breadth of experience there. Mostly the thing about Maori culture you'll see accessible is the storytelling and their ability to weave this rich tapestry of history into life in New Zealand, both past, current and future. And then with that, there's actually a new experience in Northland, in Hokianga, which is in Northland, and it's, just check my own notes here, Footprints of Kupe, and it's the newest interactive cultural experience, 75 minutes, and you get a full experience of Kupe's descendants and everything that's happened since then as a part of it. So really rich experience for something to enjoy. So look forward to welcoming Australians who won't have visited it yet, because it's only just opened in late 2020. So
yeah, that is exciting. Thank you for that. I think that's really admirable and exceptional to have a really integrated culture and to be able to showcase all elements of that culture throughout everyday life. I really appreciate that. That's really eye-opening. So thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to get to, and I'm just reading to make sure I've got everybody's questions and destinations covered off. I have. So let's get into sharing some of your favorite hidden gems. We're using that word again, but we have to. There's so many.
There is, isn't there? So I've been thinking about this, and I was inspired coming into the office today. Behind me is a favourite place of mine, which is Kapiti Island. So you can see that in the background. It's an hour north of Wellington, and Kapiti Island Nature Tours is a well-known operator there, run by the local iwi, Qualmark certified, and won a number of tourism awards. So you can walk around the island. It's got no predators. So pre-European arrival, there was no mammals on New Zealand. So rich bird life. And so it's actually been turned into a nature reserve where all mammals have been eradicated from the island: goats, stoats, weasels, sheep, everything, and rats and so forth. And so it's bringing back this rich this rich bird life and song with it. And what you can also do is stay on the island, and they tell you again the stories of the island, and there's a lot of folklore that goes with that, which is amazing. So it's just a little window into some of these things around the place. There's a lot of I'd say hidden gems, maybe not well known. Hidden gem would definitely be Stewart Island. I'll go through the different islands. Waiheke out of Auckland, which is a 45-minute boat ride, which people will remember for restaurants and vineyards and so forth. So, yeah, I'll stick with islands as the hidden gem, as something to look into when you're talking to what to experience.
That's very, very cool. I didn't know that about the mammals, actually. So there you go. I've definitely learnt that today. My next question for you, Andrew, is what has been the most memorable moments for you while you've been on holiday around New Zealand?
Yeah, well, a couple here as well. I'd say skiing in New Zealand is fantastic. So, I've taken my family, both been in, as you know, traveling by myself. I've traveled with friends as well as with family over my time in New Zealand, and skiing out of Wanaka in Queenstown is something special. Alpine village for world-class ski resorts, accessible with amazing snow. So really sort of rich winter experience with skiing at the heart of it, and then being able to drop down, sauna, refresh for the evening activities, and there's a good party life in Queenstown as well. So that's definitely memorable as well. So that would be one. And then probably say the whale watching and dolphins as well. So the wildlife from in the ocean around Kaikoura is pretty special. So anything to do with something around the water is pretty special as well.
Absolutely. I love the idea, and I haven't done this yet, but I will when we can, is I do love the idea of doing the day trips up and around the Bay of Islands. I think that would just be spectacular for seeing dolphins and experiencing life on the water.
Yeah, and you can have liveaboard through to day trips through to diving as well. So, depending on how active you are and who you're traveling with, there's always something, that can be custom fit to what your needs are and how much time you've got.
Definitely. I think that there's just so much that New Zealand has to offer in regards to, we've spoken about the hospitality and the restaurants. We've spoken about alpine villages, but also great summer holidays in those same villages. We've spoken about Rotorua and their thermal springs. And there is a plethora of different experiences to have in New Zealand. So my last question for you, Andrew, is where and when is your next holiday booked?
It's so I was due to be over. I have to go back to go forward. So I was due to be in New Zealand doing a couple of bike tours actually. So I'm quite a keen mountain biker, and I was due to do the Old Ghost Road with some colleagues about planning for it this time last year. So my bike's ready, and I'm looking to join a couple of friends over there in due course. And there's an amazing, it's called New Zealand Cycle Trail, and it's pretty much connected from the top of the north all the way to the south, and you can pick special cycle tours depending on your level of fitness. So you can do it with e-bike through to keen mountain biker, and they've sort of built this trail this network of trails with restaurants and cafes and quirky farm stays and so forth along the way. So one of those would be pretty special for me. There's one alpine to ocean, which is from Mount Aorangi or Mount Cook, which is New Zealand's biggest mountain, in the middle of the South Island, all the way down to and to the coast. So amazing sort of trail. So that's what I've been dreaming and planning for as we talk about for when that Trans-Tasman Travel Zone opens.
Absolutely. So fingers crossed that is on the cards for very, very near future. But certainly, as we mentioned when we opened today, travel is going to be busy, and we are seeing a lot of people that are pre-planning, and I think that that's really, really smart. We have a brand new offer on our website, of course, and it is actually a 20-day offer, Andrew, and we entitle it a 20-day New Zealand rail. But actually, we've got elements of rail and car hire, of escorted and of self-drive. So you can incorporate all of these beautiful elements that we have spoken about today within that framework. So I'd encourage everybody to hop online and have a look at that. There's availability and exceptional pricing. But Andrew, thanks again.
Thank you.
Really appreciate your time. Really appreciate
thank
you. Cannot wait to get to New Zealand.
We'll be there. Look forward to welcoming everyone there. So
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Thanks all.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.